Welcome to the Voice of MPE, the official podcast of Merchant Payments Ecosystem, Europe's largest merchant payments conference. This podcast brings you interviews with payment industry leaders and professionals from the entire payment world. For more information, head over to www.merchantpaymentsecosystem.com. In this discussion, Lynsey Verrillo and Sebastian Castellano from Visa will be sharing their insights on how Visa is positioning itself in the world of payments, as well as who the current leaders in payment innovation are.
Innovation occurs at a rapid pace in the world of payments, and that's what makes it such an exciting industry to be part of. I'm Mangala Martinus, MD of Payments Consulting Network and Merchant Advisory. I'm here today at the MPE conference in Berlin, recording the Voice of MPE podcast. Joining me today on the podcast are Lynsey Verrillo and Sebastian Castellano from Visa. Lynsey is Head of Enabler and Small Business for Europe, and Sebastian is Head of Enablers and Innovation for Central Europe Visa. Welcome to the podcast today, Lynsey and Sebastian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start by getting you to do a quick introduction on your roles and in particular, explain to me what the word enabler in your job title actually refers to.
Yeah, sure. Let me start. So I think enabler is a word used a lot for many different reasons. So it definitely needs a bit of introduction from us. For us at Visa, we refer to enablers, payment enablers, merchant enablers as those entities in the ecosystem that are really helping to activate payments. And traditionally, Visa's been really focused around our four-party model. We've recognized, particularly in the past few years, the incredible pace of change in the industry and how many new entities have entered the ecosystem and are really helping to activate and accelerate a lot of digital payments. So it's those folks like payment gateways, payment facilitators, the software platforms, and payment orchestrators that we see as truly evolving and innovating the landscape, but not traditionally served by us. So we've been really working to increase our support and relationships with those that we refer to as payment enablers.
Yep. And is there any particular reason you wanted to increase that support if they're not originally part of the Visa ecosystem?
I think Visa really looks to evolve as the ecosystem is changing. You know, you've seen us go through many iterations over the years, and we seek to be an enabler ourselves of the ecosystem. So as we see these entities becoming increasingly important to merchants, we want to ensure that we have the relationship with them, that we are providing information, products, tools, solutions that are beneficial and relevant to them, as well as the more traditional clients that we work with.
Yeah, thanks. Sebastian, a little bit about your role.
Yeah, I'm Sebastian. I'm part of the part of the Visa Europe team for Enablers and Innovation. There I manage key accounts like Computop and Riverty, ensuring that their needs are met, that Visa is innovating at pace to really meet their needs. And I've been with Visa since 2021, where I started. And before that, the background was at Enablers, specifically with partners like Worldline and Pay.
Great, thank you. So this podcast topic is around innovation in the world of payments. Who do you think is leading innovation in the payments industry? Is it big tech like the likes of Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, the big fintechs like Fiserv, Adyen, Stripe, or the card schemes or a range of smaller fintechs?
I think, big tech's super important, right? I mean, just the user bases alone that Google, Apple has ensures that when they are deploying a innovation that they can reach, the most consumers possible. So they're very important, but it's a very collaborative ecosystem in payments, and we need the whole ecosystem to move and together to really drive the activation of the innovations. So I think Tap to Pay is a great example. Recently, we've seen a lot more deployment of Tap to Pay soft POS across Europe, particularly. And when Apple switched on the iOS solution, I think that had, great acceleration again. Now, I think 80% of consumers in Europe say they're comfortable to tap to pay on a mobile device, relative to the more traditional hardware. In pay tech, I think we've seen Adyen, Stripe, those folks really innovating on the digital ecosystem and particularly making those innovations accessible to all merchant types from the enterprise down to the SMB merchants, which has been really great. And I think the other group that I'm really enjoying seeing the growth of is the more vertically focused ISVs. So we see, a couple of examples like Toast in the hospitality space or Shopify for online retail. They really understand the needs of those businesses, and they create an end-to-end solution that is solving a ton of pain points, from inventory through to supplier relationships, and payments becomes just a seamless embedded component within that. So I think they're driving a lot of innovation based on those needs, and then actually those innovations are getting adopted by the wider ecosystem.
Yeah, we found in our own business with our merchant advisory practice, a third of that work is now coming from ISVs who are adding payments to the relationship that they have with their client base. So that's been a big surprise to me in terms of the evolution of that ecosystem.
Yeah, in Europe now we see that 10% of small businesses go software first, in that they're choosing their payments provider because they're already within the marketplace of the software that's core to running their business. So it's really flipped in terms of the way the role that they play in payments.
Sebastian, do you have a
Yeah, I definitely agree with Lynsey here. For us at Visa, we're continuously innovating and adapting to the changing landscape. For example, we're utilizing AI to really shape the payments industry, from actually reducing fraud to personalizing customer experience. We are also embracing changes that come along with PSD2, for example, and open banking, which actually enable a more competitive and innovative payment system. Another quick example is, for example, Visa Direct, a service developed by Visa, where we allow merchants and enable merchants to send payments directly to the consumer's bank account. And we're also delivering on some of our core capabilities, like network tokenization, where this allows innovation without actually for consumers and merchants, and likewise empowering merchants to deliver a choice of payment option and thus really facilitate a better and more personal user journey. So actually, in our view, it's not really who is leading innovation, but more how do these different players work together, sometimes in close partnerships, to really shape the future of the payment.
I think that's an important point. The payments ecosystem is so integrated these days. You can't do anything on your own. Every payment has multiple touch points through different organizations. So it's all about partnerships in the world of payments, and particularly to make innovations. So what innovations do you think are likely to have the most impact over the next 3 years in terms of the rate of adoption, changing the user experience, and also improving productivity or enhancing security, which you mentioned?
Yeah, let's pick two. One would be the full-scale adoption of biometric payment and ID. So this will enhance security in the transaction by the ubiquitous use of biometric authentication, like fingerprint or facial recognition. And secondly, native in-vehicle payment. So we at Visa, we see that new frontier of e-commerce is the car. So imagine your car turning into a fully authenticated and secure payment device that allows the driver to really have a seamless in-car payment experience. So be it by purchasing some on-demand features in the vehicle or choosing an EV charger, there's always the ability to pay using biometrics in the car by actually leveraging infrastructure that is foundational to Visa and security at the forefront. It's simple, it's convenient.
Yeah, I think convenient, big factor. I think if you asked anybody 10 years ago, would they be willing to give away their biometrics to an Apple or a Google or a Samsung? Everyone would have said no way. But because it's so convenient to make that transaction, that's what's made that consumer adoption go through the roof for sure.
To add a couple of points, I think I'm going to go back to network tokenization that Sebastian mentioned earlier. We've seen great progress with the rollout of network tokenization across the ecosystem in Europe particularly, but there's still a lot to do. And actually what I'm really enjoying seeing is the way that different partners are leveraging that network token to really drive that better user experience within their merchants. Just to give a few stats around how we're seeing the token growth in Europe in 2022, I think we saw the number of token credentials pass traditional card credentials for the first time. In 2023, we saw 7.5 billion network tokens, almost double that we see of cards. So, they really are growing at a rapid pace, and they're growing because the performance is backing it up. We know that fraud and authorization remains to be a big challenge within the digital space. And we're seeing up to 5% increase in authorization uplift from network token rollout. So the results speak for themselves, and there's some great adoption of that solution. A couple of the partners that we've been working with to roll out that I think just bring to life how they can make it not just good from a payments perspective, but also a customer experience would be Hugo Boss and Adyen. We did a project with them where we helped Adyen support Hugo Boss to roll out both 3DS capability and tokenization across their hundreds of stores, because they really wanted to get that seamless shopping experience and a smooth authorization experience. And they're getting that delivered through these solutions. Another one that I love, a very European example, is in Denmark. They have the Great Belt Bridge, which has up to 60,000 passengers crossing it daily. They use a subscription service to make the payment go through the bridge without having to stop at the terminal. But anytime there's an issue, the card is lost or expired, then they have to get into the long queue, they get on the phone, and it really damages the user experience. So they've just implemented network tokenization so that they can also look to really mitigate those challenges from a customer experience perspective and ensure that there's much more seamless user experience as well as the great payment experience. And click to pay, I think, is coming next, though. So for us, really also taking that digitalization, not just in that card on file world, but also to the guest checkout world, and ensuring that we can, do as much to remove the manual key entry from PAN from the digital ecosystem.
It's all about seamless payments, frictionless. Taking a bit of a gear shift, what macroeconomic and demographic changes on a global scale are likely to influence the direction of innovation in payments?
There's a couple of things that I'll start with. So, we saw it post the pandemic. The increase in digitalization really shifted businesses online. And we've seen, as we've noted, a lot of growth. I think AI, as we've been talking about throughout a lot of MPE this week, is the next frontier, and ensuring that we can be ready for both the good that AI creates, but also the bad. We had Natalie Kelly, our Chief Risk Officer, in the opening plenary this morning, and she was sharing the fact that we see a lot of the fraudsters leveraging AI and large language models to get more sophisticated in the way that they run scams for consumers. So there's an alternative to Chat GPT on the dark web called Worm GPT, and they've also got Fraud GPT, and it's getting super smart the way that AI is being used to create more attacks onto the ecosystem. So I think we all need to be cognizant of that and continue to ensure that we're building in the security and the protection to the payments infrastructure that we put in place. It's definitely a big priority for us at Visa and for sure with our partners too.
Yeah, certainly. When we focus on Central Europe, probably two trends stand out that will most likely have influence on the future of payment innovation. Most notably, I would say the adoption of the payment is one to mention, as it is rapidly increasing. For example, in the Netherlands, over 90% of the population already actively uses digital banking. So the Dutch, as we all know, are truly digital frontrunners. Also an example from the Netherlands is the recent introduction of OVPay as a check-in and check-out ticketing solution in urban mobility. It is actually one of the first ticketing solutions, open-loop ticketing solution worldwide that works on a national level. So meaning passengers all over the country tap in with their contactless bank card, with their smartphone or their smartwatch to start or to finish their journey anywhere in the country.
Thank you. So my last question is, how does everything we've discussed today around innovation impact your roles in particular and what you do at Visa?
Yeah, as we mentioned, innovation is delivering a lot of good stuff, but also some bad stuff in the ecosystem. So as fraudsters also might leverage new tech to take advantage of consumers and merchants. So for our role, it's again and again the need to truly understand the needs of our clients to continue to deliver seamless payment with security at front of mind. By doing this, our clients can concentrate their resources and energy on really growing sales and growth. And we do this today through the delivery of more secure technologies like token, click to pay, really removing the PAN from the ecosystem, and biometric authentication, as mentioned, to drive a frictionless, seamless customer experience while still and always be in compliance with SEA regulation, for example.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think we're in a great position to hear the voice of the ecosystem and reflect that back into our organization. We want to ensure that we have front of mind the needs of merchants and consumers, and then the partners of us that are delivering to those folks. So I think we need to, keep very active at having the dialogue and engaging in conversations like those taking place this week at MPE to ensure that we understand what the ecosystem needs are. And then our goal is to really continue to evolve the services, the solutions, the partnerships that Visa has to really help.
So in some respects, you are the enablers and facilitators for your enablers. So thank you both for joining me on this podcast. Great to hear your insights.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to the official MPE podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the show and check other video interviews with other industry leaders on our YouTube channel. For more content, follow Merchant Payments Ecosystem on LinkedIn and Twitter. Don't miss out on our Positivity magazine, and remember to subscribe to the MPE newsletter at www.merchantpaymentsecosystem.com.